Hey guys, this is Annika at Ask Annika, and today what I want to talk about are the 4 things that I believe are very important to any business or any startup company. And this is just from my own experience, from what I've seen with other people who are starting up a company or own a company. These 4 things that, if they are paid attention to and properly maintained and um, properly grown, it can really, really, really benefit a company in the long haul and um, for it to grow. I'm going to say that the number one thing is time management. And that is something that I am growing with every day. And I'm going to say this for somebody who's starting up, there's so many things and so many directions that a company could go. I believe it is very important to just continue to take action, especially in the startup phases, to learn, ask questions, and it's hard to do time management when you first start up. In my opinion, it becomes easier and easier as you go within a company. And this is because you gain more direction into what you're actually doing, so you can be on a set schedule to be effective. But when you first start, there's so many questions and so many different directions that a company can go, and so many different things you're trying to connect into your company to become more efficient. There's so many learning curves when you're first starting a company that time management is actually harder, in my opinion, at the beginning of starting a company. So what I like to do is, and I personally try to stay in the phase of start up. And what I mean by that is I'm continually looking for the next phase of what I'm doing and where I'm growing and what groups or different networks I'm getting into or growing with. And so I'm continually keeping part of my brain in this startup mode while still doing things that have kept me on track to continue to grow. But what I do when I am truly like either in startup, when I was in startup mode with companies, or now when I'm trying to get into something new, is I say I'm going to do 4 things. I'm going to accomplish 4 things. And I don't complicate that. And 4 things a day, that's what I mean. So whether that is today, like I did one big thing today, which I was putting off, like I feel like I was putting it off since the moment I woke up, because it's something like I just don't want to do, was clean out my whole photography studio. And great, cool, did it. I feel great about it. I'm happy I did it. It really didn't take that long. It was just going through all the paperwork, all the documents, all the loose ends of everything, of things like props and stuff like that I have used with people coming and doing. It was just a bunch of stuff, right? So that was one thing I did today. Another thing I did today was package all my orders. I wanted to make sure that they were all ready to be shipped out. So I got that done. Another thing I wanted to do today was I wanted to make this video right here that I'm making. I wanted to do some research on YouTube channel growth. I wanted to learn some new knowledge in that area. And then I wanted to connect to all of my groups and networks that I have become a part of and catch up on all my messages, because correspondence is very important. And keeping connections is very important, even if it's just an easy, hey, I haven't spoken to you in a while. I thought of the last thing you said to me, whatever that was, state that, and I hope it's going well, or I hope that you did this. And if I heard anything about it, I say, hey, I heard this about that, and that's really cool, and I really, whatever, maybe it can help them, maybe it can't, or, just checking in with people that you have business relationships with, personal relationships with, but especially in the business world, since we're talking business. So time is a big thing. And to realize that time's weird, I think, because it can be something that I think will take me 10 minutes, ends up taking me 3 hours. And it can be something that I think is going to end up taking me all day, like 6-8 hours. or at least an all business working day. And it ends up taking me like a half an hour. So time is weird to me sometimes, but I stick to the 4 things a day rule, and I typically go as far as I can with them, and then if I don't finish, I put it for maybe the next day or the following day, sometime this week. But if it's things that have to get done, I typically make sure I get it done and just do it, right? I've gone through the put it off syndrome before and gotten caught up in other things, and then before I know it, I haven't done something I wanted to do, and it's been 3 weeks, right? We've all done that, where we say we're going to do it tomorrow, and tomorrow turns into the next day, and the next day turns the next day, and the next day turns into next week, and next week turns into next month, and before you know it, it's not even part of what you're doing anymore, but you wanted that to grow with everything else you were doing. We've all done that. So stay on top of that, because you want everything to go together, and it does help hiring an assistant, literally a personal assistant, maybe not right as you start a company, but a little further down the road, to have somebody do all the odd-ended things that you just can't get to, but it would tremendously help your company expand and grow. The next thing I wanted to say that I believe is important is your customers. So any business that is successful, you have to fill a need. You can't just say, I want to make money. Like, people don't care if you want to make money, for the most part. So every day and every time that I look at what I'm doing with any of my companies or any of my businesses, I say, what need does this fulfill? Right? And before I even start a company, I say, how big is this need, and how many other competitors are in this? Because ultimately, time, right? So if there's a ton of need for it and not many competitors, my time will be maximized in that respect. But if there's like nearly no need for it, like at all, and there's ton of competitors, I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to either make there be a need for it or create it into something that is actually needed. So I'll be altering what I'm doing. So customers are the huge, they're like customers, clients, they are literally like, they're like the it, right? But the crazy thing is to make sure your customers are completely taken care of, you have to make sure your employees are taken care of more. So for me, my employees or people I hire hourly to come in and help that I've gotten to know over the years, they're more important to me than my customers, because my customers are the most important to me. Does that make sense? So if I want my customers to get the best quality, the best service, I have to have employees who give that. So to me, my employees are my number one, who I want to be happy, educated, growing in what they love, their passion. So they're here and they're feeding into something they believe in, because we're all part of the same cause, the same motive, the same passion, the same idea, the same drive, and we're giving that out to customers so that customers can be happy with what they're receiving, what they're getting. So number 1, I'd say, is time management. Number 2, I'd say, is customers. But in a roundabout way, your employees then are the most important to take care of. And the other thing is, I'd say mindset is like humongous. And that can be a tricky thing, because the way people's minds work are very interesting. Some people are completely upfront and transparent, right? And I've come to that place where there's really, any time that someone is trying to angle something, I found this for myself. Anytime that I was trying to angle something or I had a motive that I didn't voice, which generally wasn't a bad motive. It was just, I just didn't share it because I tried to just do what I thought needed to be done to get to what I wanted to get to, but I should not have done that. What I learned is the more effective that I can just plainly communicate my needs and my wants, and how I feel it will move forward, the more swift and easy going it goes, and the less confusion there is with the direction of what's happening. So I'd say that that is a huge part of it, is your mindset and how you cultivate your ideas from what's in here to how you see it benefiting what you're trying to do, and then getting it from that to you fulfilling the action and or someone else fulfilling the action to make that grow more and more and more. So it's a with mindset, I'd say that is learning and knowing yourself more and educating yourself more on how to be more and more effective with your own communication, your interpersonal relationships, and how you go about delivering a message, and how you go about taking your idea or your vision and creating that into action, or an actual outcome of something becoming something tangible and real. So I'd say it's we've got our mindset, time management, our mindset, and then our customers. So those three. And then I would say the other thing that would be like one of the top 4 important things for any entrepreneur or startup company would be your network. And I believe all this ties in together, but your network and who you're listening to and who you're bouncing your ideas off of, and what they're doing with their own mindset, network, and time, and how that they fulfill their customers' needs, because their own mindset is going to rub off onto your mindset, and your mindset will rub off into their mindset. So the more educated and better off that you're doing, you will rub off onto them, and the better and more educated that they're doing, they will rub off onto you. And your network is very important because it's a support system of other people who get it or support it. And I think that is super important, especially for startups, because when I was starting up, I really didn't have someone who I felt got it. I had people who either said, do something safe, or yeah, do it, right? But they didn't know what it would take. I didn't even know what it would take, because it was so early on, and I didn't have somebody who, helped me learn. So help me learn the path. I personally did all the failing. I failed in every area you can think of, legitimately. And I wouldn't undo it, and I wouldn't redo it, because if I didn't, and if I did have something there, I wouldn't be able to connect to people who don't, or people who do. This can be really bad too. If you have someone who does support you and they can actually fund your startup or something, but their advice is is backwards and selfish, that can be horrible. That can be bad too. So it's a fair, it's a balancing act of surrounding yourself with people who are capable and willing to go through the nitty-gritty parts to learn the skills necessary to succeed. And ultimately, I always say this, if you're wanting to start a company or you're wanting to own a company, regardless of what it is, you are pretty much saying you want to be a professional adapter. That's literally what I tell people. Anyone who wants to own any company, you're literally saying you want to be very, very good at never getting comfortable and always seeking to learn and always adapting. And if that's not something you already like seek out to do, you should start doing it. Because that's what it is, and it's fun, it's cool, you meet other people like it. It's like a continual growing and learning journey. So I'd say that those 4 things are really the most important, if not the most important, they're up there, is your time management is like, it's so important to make a schedule for yourself. Like, this is my like schedule, right? Like, this is what I do. I color code it, and it literally takes me about 15 minutes in the morning to review, 15 minutes at night to review. And I gotta do it, right? Like, I gotta stick to it, because I'm the engine to the ship. So time management, what your customers are seeking, your mindset, and your network. So if you can write on the top of each, like, take 4 pieces of paper and write on the top of each time, customers, mindset, and network, and list the top 3 things you do in each category. How do you manage your time? I have alarm system, I have my calendar schedule, and I have my detailed calendar schedule. So that's what I do. I try to not get too detailed, because like, things never really go according to the details. Like, I just got to get it done. I don't really know how it's going to happen. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it goes shorter, sometimes I need to do a bunch more work within that one goal that I need to get done. Sometimes it's like easy. I don't know sometimes. So those 3 things. Customers. What need do I fulfill? What is my target audience? And what are like the streams that I do to reach them? Network. Who are my top 3 go-to people within my network right now? Write them down. And why? And where do you see yourself going? And how do they feed into that? And what type of people do you need to have in your network to help you get there so that you can learn it faster? The whole idea of this, the whole idea of YouTube, the whole idea of these videos is to shrink the learning curve. Because my learning curve was very long in a way. Like, I experienced a lot in a very small amount of time. Like, for real, I firsthand experienced a lot in a small amount of time. But the idea of these videos is to shrink the learning curve. So the people you need to know are the ones who can help you shrink your learning curve within getting to the goals you want to get to. And then the other one is mindset. So what do you do now? Top 3 things you do now that feed your mindset to get to where you want to go. Watching YouTube videos from people who you know have done it, who do it, and who are legit. Connecting with other business owners in your area who are currently doing something similar to what you're wanting to do. Reading books. Figuring out how you operate. Because how you operate is very important. For me, this was like a decade ago. I was interested in learning Chinese, and before I even started to learn Chinese, I wanted to learn the different ways that people learn a language. So it was like the typical ways that people learn. It was someone talking to them in Chinese. It was talking to them in Chinese. Repeating it, seeing the word, which I didn't have an interest in writing it, and I do, but it just seems like so much. And the use that I wanted from it was to speak it. And once I learned how I learn, I feel like it shortened my learning curve. And I don't even know what it would have been like to do it without realizing how I learn, because I literally wanted to figure out how I will learn this quickest. And I just did that. And I learned the basics of how to speak, getting around nearly fluent Chinese in like 2.5 months. So I'd say learning how you learn is very important. Whether that's writing it out and saying it back to yourself, that's how I learn. That's a big way how I learn. Like, so when I was doing Chinese, for me, it was saying it, writing it, but there's a way you can write Chinese and English, right? So you have to learn how you learn, and that will definitely help your learning curve for whatever you're doing. So if you learn by doing it, I'd suggest you start just doing it. That's a big way I learn, and I failed in so many ways, but you know what does it really matter now? It doesn't. Like, I can say I've done it. You know, if someone's out there and they're like, I want to start a company, and I'm like, well, pitch me what you're doing, I can tell them what worked for me and what didn't, and how I lost tens of thousands of dollars and how I didn't, and what they might want to look out for. But if you're somebody who learns from seeing it be done, go intern. If you're somebody who learns from reading it, get all the books. If you learn from watching it and hearing it, YouTube. So if you got anything from this, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. My name's Annika. I share a lot about startups. I share a lot about the mindset. I share a lot about how to stay on track, to keep going, to keep growing. And everybody, have an amazing, amazing day. Annika, like, subscribe. Bye.